would you like to manifest quantum wealth? Alara Sage will tell us how to do it. And what's so special about Alara is she's known as the Oracle of Wealth, and she helps conscious entrepreneurs transform their energetic blocks into breakthrough wealth by bridging ancient wisdom, quantum mechanics, and business strategy. So, Alara, tell us about how can entrepreneurs manifest quantum wealth?
Manifestation Empress podcast
with Lily Patrascu shares manifestation strategies to live your dream life.
Well, it's a big question, Lily, but thank you for asking it to me. So what is quantum energy and quantum wealth? It's about understanding that in this moment, everything exists. So anything literally that you could see yourself as, the different levels of wealth that you could imagine yourself being, they exist in this moment now, the only moment, the present moment. And what happens is in this field of pure potentiality, this is quantum mechanics, quantum physics, our belief structures, what we believe to be true for ourselves, takes the infinite potential and collapses that down into the one reality, our physical reality. So in order to create quantum wealth, it's about connecting to what is it that you're desiring to create. Is that 50K months, 100K months, and recognizing who are you as that version of yourself. This comes into the patterns, the behaviors, the personality, the belief structures of who you are as that version of yourself. And then it's about applying this every single day, visualizing yourself in that reality. You know, we get to play in the realm of imagination in quantum mechanics. We get to be delusional and also taking action on those behaviors, those patterns, basically becoming that version of you right here, right now. And so what that does is that energetically aligns you with the timeline of you that exists here right now, that's already embodied and creating that level of wealth.
Thank you. For someone who is very far away from their goal, and I'm talking about someone who currently has zero or maybe has, $250,000 debt or something, and then wants to go to a ridiculous, seemingly ridiculous goal, which is to be a billionaire, how would they kind of go and have this massive jump from that, nothing or below nothing to something, absolutely magnificent where they're traveling the world and they have, a business that fulfills them on every level. And perhaps they also want to have, a great relationship and a big family and, a dog and a cat. And
I love all your examples, Lily. Yeah, so it's about understanding that absolutely. The truth is anything's possible. Somebody could go from $1 million in debt to a billionaire, but that gap, the version of you and all of it's really about your ego identity, who you see yourself as. That's a really large gap. And again, it's totally possible, but most likely what would happen if somebody was trying to make that big of a leap is that you are identified as being $1 million in debt. You are identified as a person who lives in debt. And your nervous system, your belief structures, all of that is categorized and organized in being in debt. So to go from being in debt to being a billionaire is a radical leap. Most likely what most people do is they take, jump after jump. So they go from, being $1 million in debt to not being in debt, right? Eradicating the belief structure of debt from their subconscious mind, and then moving stepping stones from there. Then they embody, 10K months, and then 50K months, etc. But it's all about your identity, how you see yourself, and what's beneath the identity is those limiting beliefs. So our subconscious mind has all of our belief structures, and those belief structures create our reality, full stop. we don't even realize that 95% of the time, our subconscious mind is the one that is running our show. This is known in neuroscience. So what is beneath the hood, so to speak, of your car that says, what do you believe around money? What do you believe about making money? Do you believe it's easy to make money? Do you believe you can make money while you sleep? Or do you believe you have to grind and hustle and chase and that it's difficult and that money eludes you? All of these belief structures beneath the hood are what are creating your reality. So one of the first steps is becoming aware of those beliefs so that you can start to shift them and believe something new. And then the second thing is to align all of your actions, as I mentioned, to those new belief structures, because action is where we bring those beliefs into physical reality.
Thank you. I'm wondering whether actually the people that have managed to manifest in a quantum way and to have these huge leaps in terms of maybe having nothing to becoming billionaires in a year, which I mean, there is, I think there's this guy who owns this brand, I think it's called Gymshark. And I think he went from nothing to billionaire in 1 year during the pandemic times. And when I'm wondering whether he actually envisioned himself as a billionaire or whether it was just that a lot of these people that have made it on a really big level, they were just like looking to provide a solution for a massive problem. And they just happened to like hit the lottery in a sense that they were just able to help millions of people with a certain solution in a very short time span. And that's how they actually made it happen. What is your opinion? Is it that people have actually imagined themselves making like multi-millions and that's why they were able to do that? Or would you say that it's likely that they were actually just trying to find a solution for a massive problem and that's why they really made it?
I mean, there's all the roads lead to Rome. So there's multiple ways to get to one thing. Some people just, they're inherit $1 billion and they don't even try and do anything. So there's multiple ways to earn money. But in this conversation, we're talking about quantum wealth creation. So this is how we create through quantum wealth creation.
Thank you. Tell us about any like quantum wealth that you've created for yourself or that some of your clients have created for themselves with your advice, and how did that work out?
Yeah, absolutely. Just recently, I had one client who she was making about 48K a month. And within 2 months of using these techniques, she was making over 85K a month and working less. She went down to 2 hours a week. Now, I love to be transparent. I love to be really honest about this work because she was already an entrepreneur. Her business was already working. She had a system and structure. So this wasn't from the ground to 85K. This was already a business, but it was using the quantum mechanics to refine her frequency, her energy, her belief structures even more. And then also I've taken just recently a woman who was really coming from nothing, just starting her business into 30K months within a matter of about 3 months, using these techniques along with a lot of strategy to create the infrastructure for the business with the limiting beliefs and identity recalibration.
Thank you. For those that, let's say, have all the mechanics, or like the business already running and they're working really hard and they're making a lot of money, but they're not keeping a lot of money. What would you say tends to go wrong on a manifestation level where they're, bringing a lot of money, but not keeping? Is there anything that needs to change from a mindset perspective or energetic block perspective? And if yes, what can they do to shift that energetic block to keep a lot more of the money they're making?
Such a great question. And yes, so I consider wealth is the art of exchange, right? So everything to do with wealth and really with life and creation, it's an exchange. We're receiving and we're giving. And there's actually 3 parts to it: receiving, giving, and holding being. And so when somebody is making a lot of money, but they are losing all of that money or overspending a lot of that money, it's usually one of 2 things. Either it's their relationship to spending and giving, right? Where they are having a lot of limiting beliefs. A lot of people may have like emotional spending. They really are seeking things outside of themselves. They think that money is going to solve that. So whenever they are feeling low about themselves or low about their business or coming through to some sort of stress, they will find themselves buying programs, buying courses, buying outfits, buying luxury items, whatever, to try to appease a part of themselves that doesn't actually feel good with who they are. So that can be one of the emotional wounding that creates this like overspending. And just to be clear, some people don't realize that those bills that come in out of nowhere that are legitimate, people think that they're not the ones creating that, but we are. We create everything in our reality. So even if something spontaneously, you have money come in and then, like these bills keep showing up that I'm not spending the money, right? These bills are showing up. Those are still subconscious beliefs that are in you that are cultivating this space where the money doesn't stay in your system. And that is usually more of the holding the frequency. And this is really interesting because money is actually the same frequency as power as is sexual energy. So when we understand that if we don't feel safe to hold a lot of power, if we don't feel safe to hold a lot of pleasure, and just to be very explicit here, I find a lot of people that money goes out of their system. When they are sexually engaged, they will just reach orgasm very quickly, and they just go straight to orgasm because they don't actually know how to hold pleasure, hold sensation in their body. They just want it in and out. Okay, hit the climax, move on, go on, and they just keep climaxing. So that's about nervous system regulation and increasing the ability for the nervous system to hold higher frequencies of power and money.
Thank you. Does that same concept applies to people who are, let's say, overgiving? So imagine someone who is making, 50,000 per month and then finds a way to give more than that per month in a way that they're putting themselves in debt just to be able to give to more people. Does that same concept that you've just explained apply to them? And not just overgiving and people pleasing as well?
Yeah, that's the same as the overspending, because overgiving, people pleasing, that all comes from ultimately a space within yourself that you don't feel good about yourself. And so you feel like you have to please other people or overgive in order to validate who you are and to connect to that self-worth.
Thank you. So tell us about what would be the solution for, let's say, people who are general overgivers, overspenders, and people pleasers. What do people like this need to do in order to put themselves into an energetic balance where they don't have these energetic leaks of money, where they're giving everything they have to other people and they keep nothing?
Well, there's generally a couple of layers there, but ultimately it's about self-love, because boundaries are really about self-love. So boundaries are something that people don't understand. People think that boundaries are a set of rules. And I just saw a post the other day on Facebook. Somebody said, what are boundaries? And the answers were they're really complicated. And that depends on the situation. But no, boundaries are really, really simple. The only thing you have to ask around a question is whether you should do something or not, right? Should I give this? Should I create this program? Should I overgive? Is a simple question. Is this loving to self? Is this loving to self? That's it. Because you will recognize that a lot of times you are doing things that aren't actually loving to yourself. And that's when you can see that you're doing it for other people. And the truth is, and this is something that we don't understand in our society, what is truly loving to yourself is actually the most giving that you could ever do. Because when we overgive, we're doing that from a state of lack and scarcity, and we're doing it from a state of not self-love. So we're literally giving those energies away. Versus if we hold the boundary of, I love myself, I am here to love myself, then everything we do comes from that state of self-love, and everything we give is from that frequency of love.
Thank you. How would you, though, create a balance between, you can say, being a good friend and also, for example, let's say in the case of Amazon, right? I think they were making a loss for a really long time because they recognized that acquiring the client at a loss was a strategy, which was, a strategy they used for a really long time, and now they're ultra profitable, right? So how do you like do a balance between that, knowing that, and let's say overgiving as a strategy for business, acquiring clients at a loss, and then finally like creating this energetic balance where you're finally okay to charge what you're worth, and you charge in a way that you are able to sustain yourself, and you're able to create like a profitable business over the long term.
I mean, that's just a strategy. And really, I don't personally believe in that strategy, because look where Amazon is now. Yes, they're a leader, but they're not actually seen as quality, as serving humanity in a positive light. So there's a difference, right? Because they created their business truly off of lack, but it was like a form of manipulation. Like, we'll do this for a period of time in order to get, right? So that's completely different than what I'm speaking to. So it's always important to understand that, again, there are millions of different ways that you can create large quantities of wealth. Are those ways in alignment with your soul? Are they a way that won't burn you out? Are they a way that will fuel you and feed you and make you feel like you're actually doing something beneficial for humanity? Or is it something that will collapse underneath you? Those are, again, two very different things. If we're speaking about, again, are you a good friend? Are you a good, provider for your clients? It always comes back to that question, is this loving to self? So you have to rewire your brain to understand that, again, we serve others when our cup is overflowing, because that is actually the overflow that serves others. Otherwise, you will always lead to burnout, scarcity, lack, because that is truly the space that you are serving from. Anytime that we choose, I'm going to do this because I'd be a quote unquote good friend or a quote unquote kind person, but it doesn't feel good inside my body, we are choosing from a place of lack and not self-love. And so our entire society has to rewrite this in that understanding that when we love ourselves, we love others, and we create so much more wealth through that frequency than these manipulative tactics, these strategies that have all been rooted on scarcity and lack. Our entire society is shifting out of that right now.
Tell us more about how someone can cultivate more self-love when, let's say, they're not aware even that they are doing this out of lack. When they are, let's say, imagine someone who is like always gifting gifts to their friends because they think that they can, even though they say they can't afford it, but they still want to do it because they want to be a good friend. How would someone kind of cultivate self-love in them to realize that perhaps they're not doing this out of self-love?
It's definitely about, again, first and foremost, self-awareness, right? So why are you doing what you do? The why question is always really good, but it's not just the first answer that comes, because I guarantee you those people would say, oh, I'm making those people happy, right? I'm doing it because I care about my friends. But if you really sat down with them and you asked them, but why? And you took them down whys, you're going to ultimately find that they're doing it because it makes them feel like a good person, which is not love. That's a societal program. That's a structure that we've been taught, that if you place people outside of you on a higher pedestal and you bend over backwards for them, that makes you a good person. But again, that's why our society is exhausted and drained, and really it creates resentment, because your needs are not fulfilled. What you desire, your cup is not overflowing, and it doesn't sustain it. No way, shape, or form is it sustainable. So first and foremost, it's always that willingness to really say, why am I really doing this? I want to understand the why behind my actions, and the courage to look at that, because these are often hard pills to swallow. But the truth is that if you're willing to see these belief structures that are running your show, this is how you can radically change your life and, again, really affect humanity in a positive way.
Thank you. Tell us what other energetic blocks are there that tend to prevent people from manifesting quantum wealth, and how can they kind of like stop those energetic blocks? Is it negative emotions in general that tend to create those energetic blocks?
That's a great question. Negative emotions are actually coming from the limiting beliefs. So emotions are a guidance system. When you feel a negative emotion, that's because you believe something that is untrue. So for instance, when you get a bill in that is a high number and you think, oh my God, I don't have the money to pay this, I'm in lack, and you feel that contraction and that not good feeling, that's because you are in that moment believing in scarcity and lack. And the emotional state is reflecting that that is not a true law of the universe. So you are misaligned. So that's what negative emotions are here to do for us. They are here to help us realign. They're here to point to what we are believing about our experience that doesn't actually work for us, that isn't loving to self and doesn't serve ourself nor humanity. So, to answer your other question, some of the beliefs and blocks, around worthiness, especially women have a lot of wounding around worthiness. It wasn't even that long ago that we didn't even have our own bank accounts or our own money. So, the relationship with women and money has been dysfunctional for many, many generations. Our money has come through another person, and having to, make the husband happy and keep the man happy so that we are safe and secure and taken care of. So usually for women, there are a lot of layers to that conditioning that's been passed down around worthiness, the worthiness to receive, the worthiness to be wildly wealthy. There are also beliefs around performance. So this is kind of what I was saying before, where the belief that I have to do this in order to get. So I have to, serve people. I have to create a product. I have to do in order to get money. So this is a codependent relationship that people aren't aware of. You're creating a codependency with money where you have to perform in order to receive, instead of a deeper embodiment of the frequency of wealth where it doesn't matter what you do. This may sound a little far-fetched, but this is very, very true. It doesn't matter necessarily what you do. You are the frequency of wealth, the embodiment of wealth. And from that state, you create offers and products and all of these things that lead to wealth, but you're not creating them to get the money. You're not, selling to get clients. You're offering these things truly from your heart and from your genius. So those are some examples. I could go on and on.
Thank you. Tell us what other things tend to be like a block for manifesting quantum wealth, and how can someone overcome that?
Their relationships. So as I was speaking about codependency, what people don't understand is their relationship with money. You'll see the same kind of relationship with maybe your parents or with intimate partners. So our relationships in general are going to have a similar thread. And the most common dysfunctions within relationships is either codependency, right? Where it's basically like, I don't feel safe in who I am, and I need you for a sense of security. So when we need money for security, then we are giving our power away actually to money, because while money represents financial security, it's not actually where our security and safety comes from. So any level of codependency, you'll find yourself trying to grasp, to hang on to chase money, to make yourself feel better. You want to hoard money. You want lots of money because that's when you feel safe in your body. But the thing about that is the markets can crash. Right? Your money I had all of my money stolen, all of it stolen from me. All of that can happen. So if you're placing your security in money, it's never really yours. The security, the freedom is never actually yours. Conversely, you have relationship dysfunctions of, where you are disassociating right? Where you don't want to look at your money. You don't want to talk about your money. Like you want to just kind of like have it go on in the background and not really face it. That's also a dysfunctional relationship with money. So you can see and really sit down and analyze, how do you show up for money and what is your relationship there? And again, if you're very honest with yourself, you'll see how you do this with other people as well, because it's actually a relationship issue. It's not a money issue.
Thank you. Tell us where entrepreneurs can connect with you.
Yes, Alara Sage, and I'm on social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Alara Sage.
Follow me for more manifestation techniques.